each stunt from the beginning, right? Because I saw what you were immediately trying to do. Like, you were like, oh, no.
Also, the rates of immigration are such that, like, they're going to become a majority in 2490. It's like, yeah, in 5 centuries, we're going to, have hovering mosques in your centuries. We're going to have to worry about the majority. It's like, hover mosques, yeah, it's like.
And it's also studied because Europeans, because in this house, usually the more civilized, the less children they have. Usually.
Back then, still racist. John Roberts happened to change his view on the Voting Rights Act. He was from back in the day and still haven't changed his view. So when you guys say these things like somehow, oh, you try to give it so Clinton, you don't fucking know that. But why even say that here? You don't know that.
I think Donald Trump has proven to still be racist today.
Yeah, exactly. He hasn't become racist. So you could say, oh yeah, he did that. There's a lot of information right there. He did something like 5%, 10% racist in it. So he might during that time, the country and the zeitgeist in that time was all like racist. No, there wasn't. But true, because all that's who would still believe you.
Donald Trump is racist initially, but he's proven to be racist. You know what I'm saying? Like when you say shoot protesters that are the black protesters in the legs and shit, but then you fucking pardon 1,600 violent fucking offenders from January 6th, and it's some racist, racist shit to do.
Yeah, but his father was literally, if people understand that we have to listen to Trump talk how domineering the father was and how he raised Donald and Donald's other siblings. And specifically, it was very much contextualizing race and also how to manage the buildings and how to treat tenants. And the thing about the father was literally arrested as part of a KKK rally in New York City. People don't want to talk about that. He was literally arrested in New York City as part of a KKK rally.
Doesn't he have like bad housing lawsuits against him?
Yes, he has fair housing lawsuits, racist lawsuit against him. He's just the thing about what people don't realize, Donald Trump literally had one book by his nightstand, not the Bible, not the Trump Bible. He had Mein Kampf.
Who told you
Listen to
that?
the person we're dealing with.
Who told you? Who told you?
Normal. You come with Mike again, and I'm not talking to you, and I'm not going to address you because you're not. I don't talk to people now. I realize we're not fake. You go troll someplace else.
I'm not trolling.
The people who shut the fuck up. I'm not talking to you. Don't you hear when somebody doesn't want to talk to you, but doesn't want to answer your question?
Well, how can you hear me about this night? You about your mic, Anthony?
Yeah, so the thing about it, the people who clean his house saw the book there. That's how we knew what the fuck was on his nightstand. You know, the brown people he hired to come clean his shit? Yeah.
I just want to ask, like, when it's American supporter, man, Donald Trump vote or whatever, man, is it racist for Donald Trump to say shoot the black and more or less abolitionist white people, you know what I'm saying, that were at the black protests, but pardoning all the radical fucking white folks that was found on the Capitol and shit? Does that sound racist to y'all? It sounds racist to me.
It is racist.
Shoot the peaceful people. Shoot the motherfuckers that's peacefully protesting and shit in the legs, but, you know what I'm saying, I'm a part of the other guys that are chanting hang Mike Pence. Is that not anti-American? Ain't racist?
It is. And now my son said, whoa, why he fund him like that? He said, that's the proper way to cut somebody out. Shut the fuck up. Y'all entertaining my household today. Let me get
So now, you see you guys act like fucking there's no records and shit. Okay, on record, in the 1950s reported, per Ivana Trump, he had a book of Hitler's speeches, My New Order, which a friend later confirmed giving him. Well, not Mein Kampf, but he had Hitler's speeches. Trump himself has said he's never read Mein Kampf, but he has read the book he had was a book of Hitler's speeches. That's somebody, his daughter, Ivana, well, that's his ex-wife. She confirmed it also. So now what?
I mean, this was something that he like idolized Hitler or one of the motherfuckers. One of them didn't say this thing. Shit, I think it's anti-burglary towards the earlier conversation that had fucking 2028 hats in the fucking White House gift shop. That's crazy. Fuck, you got Trump 2028 hats, knowing our Constitution, our democratic processes will not allow you to run in 2028, but you still are selling fucking MAGA 2028 hats in the fucking White House. That's crazy to me. That's anti-fucking American.
Did y'all see the little closet that he has that they had made, like the little shelf of all of the MAGA stuff? And what he does, this is so embarrassing. He takes visiting dignitaries and, CEOs, executives, whoever, and he actually allows them to have something from his MAGA closet. That's how bad it is. Like, did y'all see that video? He just kind of gives them stuff like, that's now the new gift from, the United States of America. Cheap, made in China, MAGA stuff. Like, they actually have a closet, and it's just so bad. It's so tacky. It's just beyond tacky at this point.
So now, also Trump has been noted to quote from Mein Kampf a couple of times. So when you guys come on here and you guys say they should just try to jump in and try to derail the conversation like somehow somebody's lying and there's no proof about it. So Trump said that immigrants are poisoning the blood of our country during a rally in New Hampshire. He doubled down on the comments when it was addressed. He actually said it again. It's crazy what's going on. They are destroying the blood of our country. That's what they're doing. They're destroying our country. They don't like it when I said, and I never read Mein Kampf. They say, oh, Hitler said that in much a different way. Yes, a lot of stuff you say can be attributed to what Hitler fucking wrote. So it's those coincidences like people talk about is wild. And when you guys come on here and try to defend Trump like some people are lying to Trump, nobody lies on fucking Trump, bro. He's a fucked up human being, and you guys act like he's not, which is the weirdest thing. But no one can say, well, I'm a Democrat, but everything he says is pro-Trump. Get the fuck out.
Not to mention, Trump's grandfather was a whole immigrant. His wife is a whole immigrant. So I don't understand how he's so anti-immigrant all of a sudden. Didn't he do business with the Deutsche Bank? Right? Because he couldn't do business with banks in the U.S. because he was
nobody would touch him. He was a huge credit risk. Trump never paid his debts, and then he filed for bankruptcy. So why as a credit risk officer would authorize a loan to Donald Trump? That credit risk officer should be fucking fired because you know the history of this guy, And the problem is that when they act like, when you say he's a bad businessman, he goes, oh no, he just knows how to take care of the tax code. Yeah, every successful businessman I know just files for 7 or 8 bankruptcies in their lifetime. Yes, they bankrupt casinos. Get the fuck out of here. And that's the thing I'm saying. That those guys they don't come in here to have a fair conversation because they're not steeped in reality. They don't want to address. They want to deflect and go around. I don't know why. You cannot be that sycophantic about somebody. You guys are playing a color where the brain don't work. Because they suffer from real TDS, Trump defense syndrome. They would defend him no matter what he does, what he says, they'll find a way to talk around it. It's like they would have a script because they all would say the same damn stupid shit. And that's not fucking normal.
My thing is that for them to be such an admirer of Donald Trump, they're grossly uninformed. Like, did they not know that the man had over 1,000 lawsuits because he was notorious for stiffing his because he had pretty much pissed off everybody in the state. He never liked to pay his bills. Why do you think he filed bankruptcy so much? Bankruptcy is not some great strategy. It's a legal way to stiff, right? To stiff the people that you owe. And yeah, the IRS allows it.
Okay,
And you
so
can do it multiple times.
So now another time, Trump, in his own words, said this during the interview. He says, "It was my friend Marty Davis from Paramount who gave me a copy of Mein Kampf. And guess what? He's a Jew." In his fucking own words quoted. So what you got now? I could go on and just start pulling up shit on the internet because there's a lot of shit about him and Mein Kampf. But you act like this shit didn't fucking exist. And also, he lied because David says, "I thought he would find it interesting," David said. "I'm his friend, but I'm not Jewish." So you see how Trump tried to excuse away the fact that he has that book? Saying, "Well, a Jew gave it to me, so it must be okay." The guy is not even Jewish. No, are you satisfied? Norm goes, "It's not on his nightstand."
Norm.
I can't with y'all.
No,
Yeah, is that what you is that your retort? Oh, it's not on his nightstand. Not the fact that he has it or doesn't have it.
So this is your idea of a conversation talking to the chat without the person on stage? Got it.
Yep. I can't stand on stage.
Then should you be modded then? Because like a mod is supposed to be.
No, he hasn't had to come back up. No.
His numbers are
I didn't say I don't want him on stage. I said I can't stand on stage. There's a difference. I didn't say I don't want him on stage. He
But
would
if
shut
you
up.
can't stand it, then that means that you want to depart from it because you can't stand in it.
Yes, but that doesn't mean I doesn't want him on stage. I said I can't stand on stage, but because he's incorrigible. Well, the point here being is that I don't have no block. If he got to come on stage, I bring him up. You know, I have no qualms with him coming back up. Yeah, you know me. I don't block nobody. I ain't got no qualms. No, not even Anthony's dumbass that I blocked after he kicked me out of the room.
Who put him in the coop?
Not me.
I did. Because you shut up and he come back up like we always do now. When he can't shut up, we kick him to the goop.
It wasn't not shut up. I asked you an honest question, and you then admitted that what you were saying you didn't know what you were talking about.
And no, I told you I'm not talking.
Oh, please don't come up arguing. No. Please. Alright, so what's going on with these stamps? They said something about not being able to fund it. They said they just absolutely can't find the money. But I thought we got all this money from the tariffs. They can't move that. They can't slide that over. They can't slide the tariff money.
Yeah, but you know what's weird, First Lady? There's an emergency fund that they can use. I think it has $8 million in it right now. $8 billion in it right now.
Okay.
So they can actually utilize that to pay this. Because remember, like I said, the average SNAP benefit is $188. It's not much money. And with inflation going at almost 40% now, from the last couple of years ago, when the SNAP benefits hasn't had a huge annual inflation adjustment on an annual basis, they basically, those folks are still basically getting the same amount of money, but now their buying power is a lot less because inflation is through the fucking roof because of Trump's tariffs. But they're not talking about that. So $188. Have you ever gone to the store and spent $188 in groceries? And what did you walk out there with?
I can tell you, 10 items from Costco.
Exactly. And the thing about it is,
Hey, God bless you, First Lady.
Thank you. I'm sorry.
Oh, you're welcome.
sorry about that.
Even your sneeze is elegant. Did y'all hear that? Even your sneeze is elegant. That's an elegant sneeze, especially.
She hoity-toity all the way.
Stop it.
You
He really.
You know, she had it. Yeah, but I rest. I gotta go do some work, so I'll just listen to you guys.
You was telling us about the fund, the emergency fund, and then you said,
Oh yeah, so every year there's an emergency fund as part of the SNAP benefits. It's like they put it's like a contingency fund in case I guess I don't know. There are multiple reasons. There are emergencies. So, for instance, if there's a natural disaster, people obviously qualify for SNAP benefits and whatnot. And it's so you could actually utilize it for the specific purposes. So they're saying they're not going to use it because it's intended for only a specific purposes, and that's the natural disaster. So they're saying, what if a natural disaster happened? How are we going to feed those people? But you literally forego feeding people who are currently starving. So make that make sense. That is, a disaster of your own making that you don't want to correct. Because in the end, Republicans try to act like they don't want to get. They're the ones who voted to get rid of SNAP benefits. They're the ones who voted to cut SNAP benefits. And now they're acting like somehow they're in good faith. Oh, we want to feed the people with SNAP. You guys have always voted to get rid of, the social safety net. It's not like you guys have been, the sense of you guys not. You guys have consistently voted to cut it and slash it, because the fact is that you think people are not people who want it apparently don't want to work, and they're just bums. And the fact is that the American economy is fucked up right now, and you're gonna let kids stop.
If the Democrats signed the continuing resolution, which cuts nothing, everybody would get their benefits. That's a fact.
Yes. But no, what is the purpose of the Democrats holding out? Because guess what? You guys control government.
They're trying to play.
Don't say you're a fucking Democrat. Don't say you're a Democrat.
all right, let's have the conversation. Let's have the conversation. Right now, y'all just taking bits and pieces of the truth, and then that's where we get the arguing. And truth cannot be argued. Truth is truth. Yep. Truth stands alone. It cannot be argued. We have to go by going through chronological order of how we got here. If you just start in the middle, or if you start at the end, then that's where you're going to be. But you got to start from the very beginning. And once this big, beautiful bill even came out, right from the very beginning, they read over and they was like, wait a minute, something ain't right about this. They kept saying something ain't right. These SNAP benefits, they cutting SNAP benefits for millions of Americans. Do you remember that, El Normo? This is just a few short months ago. Do you remember that in the beginning of this year? Do you remember those conversations coming about before the big, beautiful bill got passed?
I remember discussions, but nobody shut down the government, refused to sign the budget.
No, wait a minute, just stay with me. I'm asking you for a specific period of time. I know you want to get your... Okay.
Because the Democrats
wait a minute, but let's go through the process.
Get their benefits.
Okay, so you don't want to have the conversation. We're not having a conversation when you want to continuously skip everything in the middle and just go right to the end.
You are right now.
No, I can't. I'm not going to have a conversation with you right now like that. I'm not.
That discussion did not shut down the government. It's not.
No, I was going through a process. What are you doing? And now you have forward. No, you're not. Okay, you know what? No, I'm not going to do it with you because I don't have the time. I don't have the time. But here's the thing. I'm going to be nice about it. You're just a little different about it, ML. I'm just going to be nice about it. I'm not going to have a conversation with you because I need you to understand. When I'm speaking, I'm asking you a question, and then you want to go in and insert how you feel the conversation should go is not how I'm going to operate because I'm in charge. I heard. No, you asked the question, you answered the question, but then you continuously kept going. You do that because you want to continuously keep putting it. No, because you keep reiterating your point versus us actually going through the process. Because listen, it's important for if you you ever went to math class, your teacher said, I want to see your work. Show me your work. I'm going through the process to show the work here. If you want to just go ahead and blurt out the answer, then that's not going to work for this classroom. That's what I'm telling you. Are we clear? Because if we're not, I can wipe the glasses off and make it clear for you.
If you get the right answer, nobody cares how you got there.
And that's wrong.
So
That's
you know,
the problem.
That's called tax fraud.
No,
FYI.
the Democrats are going to sign that continuing
well, he's a Democrat.
before Thanksgiving.
Nobody believes this man is a Democrat. We never
Okay.
did.
I'm true. I've been a Democrat longer than you.
All right.
That's why I've been asking you to do
That's,
it because it's the right thing to do because you
Okay.
can't deprive people of their food before Thanksgiving.
okay, thank you for
Yes, we
sharing
can
your
work with the
ideas. No, it's fine. I'm going to move you to the audience because you have
You're
given your
moving
statement.
now. You just
And listen, but I'm explaining why I'm doing what I'm doing, ML. Because when I move somebody, I tell them straight up and down. So I'm moving him, and I'm telling the audience as well, because he has given his submission. He's not here to open his mind to change it. He's going to stand on it. So there's no need for me to engage with him. There's no need for me to continuously hear him continuously go around the barnyard. That is insane to me. I don't do that. Y'all do that. I'll end the conversation. I don't need to have a conversation with somebody that's not open to changing their mind.
I agree.
That's it. That's all.
So stop the big beautiful bill. Let me go over what they cut in reference to benefits, like Republicans are so concerned about people. So the thrifty food plan cap, meaning that normally during the year, the underlying market price based on CPI is adjusted. So basically, you could raise benefits can grow over time based on CPI, Consumer Price Index. So the limits how much maximum SNAP benefits can grow over time. They've capped that into law. So basically, for you to reverse to increase SNAP benefits in the future, you literally have to go back and reverse that law. This is what they're doing. Then work rules tightened. So basically, able-bodied kid, adults without dependents, the law brought in who is subject to the 80-hour per month requirement, and now has several exemptions, with time kicking in if requirements are not met. Yep, that's what it is. SNAP ended after foreign federal grants, cutting state nutrition education funding tied to SNAP Ed. So your kids get to go to fucking school hungry, and they don't get to eat. That is what they're doing. They cut that shit, ended. No money to feed the kids who go hungry. End it. So there you go. Apparently they put a non-citizen eligibility restricted. So I guess if you're on green card, you don't get SNAP benefits. I don't know. So.
And this is the optimization of the conversation. Because when you start breaking down things like that, then my overall question, is it worth it? Is it worth the cut and what you're trying to take away? Look at what you're pulling away from people. That's the reason I want to have the conversation. I want to walk this thing through because I need people to understand. I understand you got the bottom line answer. Okay, that's where you are. But let's understand how we got to this. If you don't understand the numbers that you're actually calculating, that's a problem. Because this is more complex. Go ahead.
So First Lady, the entirety of all the based on the CBO office on all the reductions, it's on order of 180 billion over 10 years. But they give tax breaks to the rich, which is a lot more.
180 billion.
Yeah, over 10 years. That's how much
Over
they
10
cut.
years.
It's like fuck yes. And also, so when people don't understand that, in addition to that, the big beautiful also cut Medicaid up to $1 trillion. CBO projects up to $1 trillion in Medicaid reductions over a decade.
So I'm trying to figure out what are we doing with that money? So where do people think that money is going to go to? They think it's going to go back in their pocket? Is that just maybe that's the reason why? But you see, when y'all say that, it's not itemized enough, right? If you just say, well, it's just going to go to the rich, some kind of way in how the words have been spewed, they understand that these credits are going to come back to them. I don't know. I haven't seen it. Maybe it is, but I'm just trying to figure out, okay, if you cut this money from the poor people, then what do you think you're putting back in your pocket? That's what I'm trying to figure out. Because that's what I think a lot of people are voting for. They vote because they think they're going to be gaining something.
I know. But think
Is
about it.
that right or wrong? Hey, lady. Hey,
Yes.
lady. What's up, First Lady?
I wholeheartedly understand what you're saying and believe that. Yes, I think that is a misconception. Because the fact is that the country as a whole, we go in debt up to $1 trillion a year. We're definitely overspending how much money the country's bringing. So we have a deficit of up to $1 trillion a year. Now, you figure those cuts, if you're cutting something, then what is it where are those savings going? Can you say, can we apply that to the national debt? But that's never the conversation with Republicans. They've actually increased the national debt by, guess what, giving in addition to those cuts, they gave tax breaks to rich people that will allow them to add an additional 4 to 5 trillion on the national debt. But people are not talking about those particular, the breakdown of how money's moved on from one thing to another. Because people always talk about how much money spent on SNAP benefits, which is only like 88 million, like 90 billion a year. But they don't talk about how much farm subsidies go to farmers on an annual basis, you know? And they don't talk about any of the giveaways they give to corporations, to rich people. But they don't talk about any of those things because those people are not muchers, you know, they're out of the top 1%. And that's the thing about Americans, don't seem to want to understand that. And when Trump said, I like the poorly educated, that's the reason why he says this shit.
Okay.
They're not going to do this research. They're not going to do the research to find. Yeah, exactly. And sometimes I explain stuff to them. They're so opaque.
No, because sometimes the way, I'm just going to keep it real with you. So the way y'all be talking to people, they can't hear that. They can't hear it. I'm just going to be real honest with you. Y'all condescending. I'm being honest. Y'all talk to the people in a certain kind of way, and they just gonna argue back with what you're saying because they can't really hear what you're saying. Do you understand what I'm saying? It's the way, like right now and how you're saying it, I'm following. But then when you start saying, this is why they do this, immediately everything that you just said, they're gonna exit out and they're gonna start fighting. I'm just telling you, I've seen it. I sit back and I watch how the conversations go. But I want to stick there. I want to get other people in the conversation. My overall question is, do you really understand what you are looking to cut when we're looking at these, cuts from these different programs? And, be able to stand on it and sleep at night. Because at the end of the day, somebody may not have been as fortunate as you. I understand what you guys want to get us a time limit on it and things like that. Then that's fine. Let's do that. But let's find a progressive way to do that. Or, go in progression. Go in, bits and pieces of time to do it. But just cutting it away from people without any kind of planning, without any kind of expectation is very hard. And it's not just going to be difficult on them. It's going to be difficult on everybody. Because if they're not eating and they're not getting it, then guess what? Then it's going to be a lot of crime. So then your tax, property value, all of that's going to drop because crime is going to rise. So it's a lot of different things to just look at outside of just your own immediate home. Okay, I'm shutting up.
Emma, can you share where you were reading from so we can read it on our own?
If you take the big beautiful bill, and I just Google what the CBO says on it, and then I just summarized it. That's it. If you go to the CBO office, you can get it. I don't even have the link of it. Yeah. So you just go to the CBO office and see what the percentage. And sometimes if you go to Politico, they actually list what the cuts are to the bill also. That's another article that lists that. Sorry, I'm actually working now, so I kind of got out of it. Yeah, sorry about that.
I just wonder if some people actually care. Like, nobody's protesting in the streets about food stamps. 40 million people are going to lose their food stamps in November. I don't know if people care. still care when they see the crime rates. But right now, I don't know. I think Trump is winning. He's getting all the things that he wants and cutting taxes for the rich and taking it out on the poor, and it's crazy. I don't see anybody protesting this.
I mean, well, I think because a lot of people, even when I was talking to a gentleman today, he said, well, have they lost their health coverage right now? And I'm like, well, no, it's coming. He's like, well, okay then. A lot of people wait until the end. And I'm that type of person as well. You know, I try to hold out to see how the end is going to come about. But these people are clearly saying they got $8 billion somewhere for emergency funds, and they're not even going to take from that to feed the people. I don't know what they want. I got it. They just want the Democrats to fold. Got it. Because that's what Democrats really do. They give in. They're the kind ones. They have a heart, and they give in. So I guess that's what they're going to do.
I think it's $30 billion. It was a $30 billion contingency fund, and then when the Mellon guy gave the $130 million for the military, that's kind of what it was. He's buying more time to starve out, or the Republicans to starve out the Democratic Party.
Reform, is that right? 30? Is it 30 billion they have in emergency funds? I don't know.
Well, technically, the emergency funds I was trying to look for those links. First Lady, I believe it's empty. And just to talk about like what's actually going on, there's no budget currently for SNAP, which is, what this argument is about. So they have to appropriate or allocate those funds, which is why Trump is basically allowing this to happen. As I keep saying, he's the first president to not fund the SNAP, because there's an emergency bill, I believe, to fund SNAP during the shutdown. So Congress is kind of weird. They have to come to an agreement to basically, rubber stamp the budget. Trump's major legislation and push was for his One Big Beautiful Bill. Then this is what they do, and it's a problem actually for every American, Republicans and Democrats. What they do is they pass these big ass bills, and then they worry about the funding later, which is kind of ass backwards, right? So Congress is not very financially literate, because you don't decide what you're going to spend and then see if you can afford it, right? But that's literally what Congress is doing. So there's technically no funds appropriated for it. So they're explicitly saying, well, it won't go out because we haven't funded these things. So there's an emergency fund, and I believe that that's been depleted anyway also. But it's not like the Fed could not go to the states and give them an IOU and say, hey, if you guys have the funds, right, why don't you go ahead and take care of it? Shout out to Mississippi, which has basically said, which is kind of interesting, y'all, because this is a red state, right? This is MAGA land. This is Trump land. I believe I'm going to confirm this, but I believe Mississippi has gone ahead and said, you know what, fuck it, we're not going to get reimbursed. We're going to go out and give out a portion of our EBT that's owed to our citizens. So some states are like, you know what, Trump, this is not cool. We're not even gonna play like that. We're gonna go ahead and do what we can, even if the Fed is not gonna reimburse us. So I just wanted to point that out. There's so many different options that they have for this not to be an issue. And again, this is not why the Democrats. This is something that is happening because of the government shutdown, right? This is kind of like a byproduct of that. What the Dems are doing is holding off on these negotiations, or holding off on signing off on what's currently presented, because it is not going to extend the ACA subsidies, which would be devastating. If we think that no food stamps no EBT is devastating, no subsidies for the ACA is devastating, because the Republicans have yet to come up with a solution. Now, mind you, since 2016, we've been hearing Republicans say the ACA is trash. we're going to replace it, we're going to repeal it, da 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 da. You can't take away the funding portion of the ACA without tackling the main ACA. That's not how that's going to work, right? That's made off math. It doesn't work, and you can't convince us otherwise. So that's what's going on. It's so nuanced.
So what about this continuing resolution? Because, you know, the other side is saying, hey, listen, just sign the continuing resolution and kick it down the road. Because that was my thought originally. Like, just go ahead and do it. This was early on in October when we first did it. So what say you in regards to the continuing resolution?
I'm going to use one of my examples again. This sounds like a husband who has cheated his entire marriage and is telling his wife, just give me 6 months, babe, and I'll change. And meanwhile, the side chick is calling your phone, telling you that she's pregnant again. She's pregnant again. She already got 2 kids for your husband.
Damn.
That's what that sounds like. There you go, First Lady. That's the Republicans right now. The Republicans are like, baby, please, I love you. This time is different. Baby, please, I'm a change. And the Democrats are like, gone on somewhere. No, I'm trying to hold out. Let me get this divorce attorney on the line. Let me get my, you know what I'm saying, First Lady, let me get my sugar daddy to get me together, to get me out of this house.
What?
You know, the Democrats are trying. They're trying to hold on, but the Republicans are coming with the Louis Vuitton bags and you know what I'm saying? And the roses. Yes, the Republicans are like, baby, please, just sign right here. It's gonna be okay. And the Democrats are like, nah, Negro, you're full of shit. Okay, so we don't want the Republicans to wane. Stay strong, Republicans. He ain't no good. He ain't gonna change. Okay, that's what's going on.
Okay. I specifically wanted to know, like, from the very beginning. I understand now because the stakes are too high now to turn around now. But I'm talking about originally when they were talking about going to November 21st when this first started. Why not sign the CR? And then if they still didn't make the changes, then you hold out in November.
Because firstly, they had since February to actually address this, and they chose not to. So it's not like they didn't have the opportunity. They've had the opportunity and chose not to like work with the Democrats on this. So the CR, it's an okie doke, like before, Nikki is saying.
Yeah, I got that part. Because that is exactly what I say back to them. I'm just talking about if you rewind your mind in time, and the beginning, why wasn't that done? Magda, I don't understand. Why you just can't come and talk to me? Just like, what's going on? By the way, real quick, this is happening now. Synagogue threat arrests Jeremy Wayne Shoemaker, age 33, accused of threatening synagogues in Alabama and other states. Weapons suitcase filled with ammo and body armor found in his home. He has been arrested with body armor ammunition after threatening the synagogues. Thank you. What's next?
Hey, so this lady, I just want to bring up a news break. So Trump administration moves to overrule state laws. They all care about separation of federal and state.
Talk to me.
And protecting the law that protected credit reports for medical debt. The Consumer Financial Protection Bureau had passed a law stating that states, it's called the FCRA, states could preempt any state laws or regulations when it comes to how debt should be reported to credit bureaus like Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion. This repeals previous Biden-era rules and regulations that allow states to implement their own credit reporting ban. More than a dozen states like New York and Delaware prohibited the reporting of medical debt on a consumer's credit report. And Trump and them gonna guess what? Did that shit while they don't pay, while they cut Medicaid. So pretty good. So y'all about to incur a lot of medical debt, and that's just gonna be in your credit report. But the Republicans are doing their best for us. Just go vote for them because we're on the Democratic plantation.
I got a question, So if food stamps, like you said, in November everything stops and all that. So if the farmers are already filing for bankruptcy and things like that, isn't that going to affect them even more? Forgive my ignorance if I don't know. Maybe that was a bad question. I don't know, but I was just saying that wouldn't it accelerate the problem?
I'll step away from my phone. I'm sorry. Say it again. Say it again.
So since the food stamps will stop in November, wouldn't that affect the farmers as well as far as their income? And since they're already filing for bankruptcy, wouldn't that accelerate whatever financial hardship that they're having at the moment?
I don't know. I mean, because if they don't have the money now, how they gonna have the money later?
Right.
But they're gonna pass for them to get the money. I get it. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it throws off the whole system. You're having food produced that's expected to be purchased. There's going to be some level of effect on the purchasing,
especially for the holidays. Sorry.
Right. So, no, you're right. There's some level of less purchasing. I just feel like it throws everything off somehow. Because there's a system in place. There's an estimate. We expect people to buy this much spinach. Well, you've already grown that spinach. It isn't like you can grow less now. So if spinach already exists.
Is that me or you just went quiet?
I went quiet for a second. I was just thinking, I'm sure Trump has a lot of people he's listening to, analysts, and, mathematicians that he's working with to make sure this goes smooth.
Alright, hello? Y'all there? What's going on? Why y'all quiet? Alright, so the annual out-of-pocket premium payments for Affordable Care Act Marketplace enrollees in 2025, what is this? I don't know what this red is saying. That's what I was trying to take a picture of this. I don't know. It's saying $888, and in 2026, it's saying $1,904. So it's about $1,100 increase. Yeah, I don't know the numbers. Anyway, hold on. Emily, somebody said I'm sure it hurt the farmers.
Yeah, but like you said, is the food from the street a part of the economy, made up with a part of the economy, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So if you're speaking on the economy, you're speaking on all those things, wouldn't that have a domino effect that the consumers are not spending the money? And just like the gentleman said, they've already produced this stuff. I mean, and the animals and everything that they needed for the holiday to make up for the holiday, and then you take that away, so that anticipated money is not there. So a lot will be even wasted.
Right. Waste and not producing.
And not producing.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
And then for a normal, like say the month of December, why would they produce more? Or what they would normally do is they'll probably cut back because of the loss from November.
So most crop the season's already in. So the biggest issue is going to be is the
expiration stuff.
Correct.
Sorry about that. One trick of a finger. Hey, Sandra. Hey, everybody.
Didn't farmers in California and Florida and other places already plow over their fields? They plowed over all their tomatoes and all their vegetables, and because they didn't have anybody to pick them. And I don't know, like here where I live, the only thing that is being picked is apples, and they're not doing good because it's only 36 degrees here. So ain't no farming going on here no more. That's a done deal.
No, that's not true for California. They're still farming like they gotta be. The interesting thing is where I'm from in Salinas, a family member told me that a number of people are getting hired, including black people that wouldn't normally work in the fields because they're having to pay more. I mean, there is an effect of not having the access to undocumented workers, which that's an area that definitely uses a lot of undocumented workers. But now they're actually having to pay people a higher wage, probably just minimum wage, but still paying $10 or $11 an hour because before they weren't doing that.
But the workers that they've hired, like what I saw, they were only starting at $11 an hour. And that's not sustainable in California. That's not shit in California. And the people are not staying. They work for a couple of hours and they're like, fuck this is too hard. They're not built for that. Most people won't even plant their own gardens. Come on now.
But they're actually doing it, so I'm telling you a place where it's actually happening.
But they're quitting. Have you been reading the articles? Have you been looking at the whole thing? They're quitting. See, I'm retired. I can read all day long. They're going in, they're working maybe up until lunchtime, and they're leaving. Black, white, or otherwise. It doesn't matter. Black folks are not going back to the field. They ain't gonna do that. They may do other stuff, but they ain't going back to the field.
Dole hasn't shut down. Dole is based out from shippers and Salinas. They're still producing. And they were paying
I said that a lot of the farmers were plowing over their fruits. They've been doing that all summer long. Maybe not in Salinas, but they've been doing it all summer long. You haven't read those articles? You haven't seen where they've been plowing over their crops?
Not in the Central Coast, not in California. I'd be interested in
California, yeah.
No, I'd be interested in reading, but I haven't seen it.
Okay, well, go search it. All you gotta do is search. What's up, everybody? What else is happening other than the skyrocketing insurance prices? That's some crazy shit right there.
Ross, can you guys hear me?
I hear you.
So, I've been listening to the whole conversation, and like, I'm trying to understand the logic behind blaming the Republicans for the government shutdown and these people losing their benefits. I don't think that dog is going to hunt.
Who we blame the Republicans? This is what they want. They want to get rid of all the Democratic-led programs. So getting rid of food stamps, getting rid of the ACA, getting rid of all of that. That's what they planned. That's what they ran on. So people are going to be hurting. People are going to be dying. People are going to be starving. That's what they wanted. Ain't nobody blaming the Republicans for that. That's what they said. Trump said he was going to do that. Everything that is happening was in Project 2025. So there it is. And people who didn't
Sandra, I think that people that are trying to say that the government shutdown is the fault of the Republicans and the American people are going to, vote against them as a result of the shutdown. And I'm just trying to, work with that logic. I'm trying to see how, it really makes sense. From my perspective, right, the Republicans are voting in mass to have the government open. The ones that are, we have like 5 Democratic senators that are voting against having the government open. I'm just trying to understand.
Well, the Democrats aren't going to change their mind. They want to have the insurance available for the people. They're not giving up on that. So that's what they're willing. That's what they're willing to die for. Because
Going to give up
about people. Republicans.
Sandra, which one is going to blink first? Which one is going to blink first, Sandra?
I don't think they're going to blink. They've gone this far. Even the people who are getting ready to be out there.
Why are you coming in so hot, sir? Calm down. Hello, happy Wednesday to
Hi,
you.
baby.
Hey, Sandra.
Morning. I didn't think I was sorry. I'm sorry.
I think these just.
I'm in my car. That's why. Whenever I'm in my car, I'm speaking in my car speakerphone. I'll be yelling, thinking
Oh, wow. Yeah, that thing is loud.
So Anthony, to answer your question, so to answer your question, so the GOP are in charge, like bar none. Like the Democrats are not in charge. The GOP is in the driver's seat, right? They had an opportunity to have a conversation about this with the Democrats, and they chose not to. So it'd be in bad faith to say, "Oh, well, trust us now." Now that the government shut down, that the continuing resolution, and then we'll talk to you. That's a bad faith discussion to have negotiations on. So it's pretty straightforward. It's not. It's they're in charge. They can open the government if they wanted to. Have a conversation with the Democrats. That's what this is about. Compromise, not just having your way.
Did you want to respond, Mayor Kennedy?
I did want to say that I think this is being spun in the media, and even from from state officials here in Massachusetts, people are getting text messages saying that Trump is responsible for this. What's about to happen on November 1st? I went to a few events, and it's being spun as Trump's fault. But I think that's a sin to blame Trump. I think we need to understand that this is a function of the dysfunction in Congress. The fact that everybody wants their way and they're not willing to compromise. So I think this should equally be blamed on both parties and the congressional officials who are leading us right now. I don't think this should be spun as Trump's fault, or the Democrats' fault, or the Republicans' fault. This is a failure of government functioning. And I wish that it would be communicated that way, but it's not. That includes Trump. Trump is blaming the Democrats. The Democrats are blaming. I just wish they would all take accountability, get in the room, and figure it out. Trump should lead that. Bring in Hakeem Jeffries and whatever the other guy's name is, the Michael Roberts. I don't know his name. Bring him in the room, and let's figure it out. But to just, no, I'm not. You are. It doesn't help this country. It doesn't help the people who are depending on these vital services. So I just want to recorrect or just like reframe
this is a congressional failure. And let's stop the blame game and let's get things done.
First Lady, Trump is in charge. Trump runs the whole shit. This is Trump's shit. If he
No, he's not. You don't understand.
Where's no? Go ahead. Stop.
You said it would be nice if he would go in there, Trump would go in there, get them all together. He's not doing that. Trump owns this shit. This is his shit. He runs everything. Everything. We don't run shit. So if Trump wanted it solved, it would have been solved. He doesn't want it solved. He wants to get rid of so-called Democratic programs, SNAP benefits, the insurance benefits. Wait until he sees all the Republican people that are going to be harmed by this. It's way more them than it is Democrats. Way more.
So, okay. So here's the thing. Mayor Kennedy, you said that it's not that you want them to have a conversation. But correct me if I'm wrong. Chuck Schumer and Hakeem did have a meeting with Trump in the beginning of October. And I remember Trump saying, I spoke with them and I got some things and I think we're going to have a resolution by the end of the week. That's why I said it from the beginning, this is going to be over by the middle of October. That's what I said. But when I heard Trump say that, I was like, all right, he's going to get on it. He's going to tell his people, this is how we're going to do it. This is how we're going to roll. And then by the end of the week, I hear Mike Johnson and the film guy get up there and say the Democrats want to pay for illegals, and we're just not doing that. They came and brought signs out. I don't understand why y'all remember this. And now we come to find out as we keep on pushing, it was really about the subsidies. It wasn't about the daggone illegal immigrants getting insurance. So now we're arguing about the subsidies, and y'all still saying it's, you haven't said it's the Democrats' fault. But if in fact they wanted to make a deal, then why isn't Trump just saying, hey, listen, this is what we're going to do, this is how we're going to do it, and this is going to be it. It's like right now, everybody is holding their cards, and the deal is sitting there saying, all right, you pass, you go, what's going on? Hit me, what's happening? Nothing is happening. It's at a complete stalemate right now. Go ahead, April, you wanted to say something? First Lady, this is what I remember. If y'all tell me if I'm wrong, though, go ahead.
First Lady, I think it's showing here on the stage that MAGA and Republicans are worried about how this is the optics on this now. Now they're worried about it. But as per Democrats or anybody putting out that this is Trump's fault, Trump's administration violating the Hatch Act has put up on almost every federal website that services are delayed because of the Democratic shutdown. And whoever's giving me their little rolly eyes, thank you for noticing. So this is a game using the American people. If the Republicans were interested in working on health care and fixing these subsidies and, helping Americans, they could have done that. It's been, what are we in now, 10 months? Coming on 10 months? Trump said he had what was it he said? He had a plan, a concept of a plan. And as someone pointed out last night, it's been 10 years that Republicans could have tried to work out something on their own or with Democrats, and they've not done it. And you, I'm saying General you, MAGA told us in these rooms in November, we have it all, you guys are losers, suck it up and drive on. Now you don't have it all. But see, what happens is, when you say that Democrats can open it tomorrow, you don't say that Republicans can open it tomorrow. Because when you govern, which Republicans have not done by and large for quite some time, a decade at least, I would say, even more, you, the party in power, if you need the votes of the other people who are not in power, then you need to work with them to get the votes that you want. Now, you have your big, beautiful bill that cut Medicaid, and that's not enough. You need more.
But when you work in government, your job, you were sent there for the people, and not just the majority. You have to consider the minority. So if you can't work in a bipartisan manner, then it lays on you. The onus lays on you as the party that holds all the branches. They even get the Supreme Court. They pack it up. So it's not a matter of blaming Trump. It's showing what has really been going on in our government. What has happened in the House. Mike Johnson, there's a bunch of compilations out of him being asked about various topics when it comes to the administration. He's like, I don't know. I haven't looked at that yet. We haven't talked. I haven't talked with the president. And we hear that a lot on these stages too, that people don't, I didn't know that. This is a ploy, okay, to try to make it look like the Democrats have not tried to work with it. The Democrats have not been asked to work on anything with them. This is how it is. And when they are asked, it's like, okay, performative, because Trump delayed that first meeting he was supposed to have with them. He didn't delay it. He said, I'm not doing it. And then he did it. And so, as the president owns what happens. Y'all hung everything on Joe Biden. But now you don't want to hang anything on Trump. That's not how this works. It's optics, it's public perception. And that's what it is.
So I agree that Trump does deserve some blame in this for not using his leadership in a way to get this done. What I'm saying is the blame goes beyond Trump, it goes beyond the Republicans, and it bleeds into the Democrats. They're all responsible. They're all our leaders. And it's not just Biden or just Trump. Reality dictates that this is more than just one party or one man. And I hope you don't think, April, I'm sorry, I hope you don't think this is just Trump and the Republicans' fault. This cuts across party line. I got a text message today, not me, but somebody sent me a text message saying, look, this is what the Massachusetts Department of Transitional Assistance is sending out to the DTA people who get snapped. Listen, President Trump is currently choosing to not issue November SNAP benefits that help you and many families put food on the table. You may also have benefits further cut starting in November. Basically, and then she goes, benefits, okay, starting in November because of changes congressional Republicans and President Trump enacted in the one big, beautiful bill. Learn more and blah, blah, blah. So what I'm trying to say is, both sides are using this as a political football to score political points. Meanwhile, you have people who can't make ends meet. I was at an event, a political event earlier. 70-some-odd widow said, listen, I'm not working. My husband's passed away. I'm 75 years old. I'm not getting SNAP benefits in November. Okay? And meanwhile, Democrats and Republicans, I don't like that Trump is saying on the websites Democrats are at fault. And I don't like that people are getting stuff from the Massachusetts Democrat governor blaming Trump and the congressional Republicans. This is ridiculous. Stop with the political bullshit. Get in the room and get things done.
So my opportunity.
There's been 15 votes.
Hold on.
There's been 15 votes to pass the clean CR that will fund SNAP. 15 times Democrats have voted no to not vote.
Joel, I think you didn't hear me speaking, and if I said hold on.
No, that's
the point at the end, but
this is crazy.
bro, you in a fucking mode. Joel, I was speaking.
So it's our job
I guess you
to
don't
vote and determine who's actually.
So, you guys control the House, you guys control the Senate, you guys control the presidency. And you guys just want Democrats to capitulate and let y'all do what the fuck y'all want. Just make that make sense.
Get
the fuck up, Joel. I'm speaking.
You're a
I'm
Democrat.
gonna tell you that again.
You're a Democrat bootlicker, and you guys are all fucking stupid. You're all actually fucking stupid, and that's what they're counting on. They're counting on you guys being stupid.
Well, it's like this
I
would be.
never thought I'd say Vanity is the one who has more sense on the stage with the MAGA.
I'll never try to talk over.
No, I'm not done yet. But the point here being, hey, hold on. I'm not done yet.
Say something as well.
Ambassador, you can go after I'm done. I wasn't done. So, Joe, if you come off mic again, I'm going to kick you to the audience. And I promise you that. So, the point here being is that y'all control the House, the Senate, and the presidency. If you want to negotiate, you guys have to compromise. It's y'all's budget, y'all's government right now. You guys are running Washington. And yet, y'all want Democrats to just fucking lie down and be run over. That's some fucking bullshit. Who you guys take them for? A bunch of fucking punks that you guys could just fucking willingly do what? Y'all don't even, because the fact is that Trump literally said, we control Washington. We don't need Democrats. Well, apparently you do if you have to make that 60 threshold to pass a fucking open budget. So you need Democrats. So there's if the game in Washington is compromised, there's no compromise on their end. Because the fact is that if Democrats capitulated and passed this particular CR, the fucking benefits, the ACA extension expires. It expires. People's healthcare costs will go up. So, mind you, the point that Democrats, and I love the fact that, guess what? Democrats holding out the government shutdown, it's affecting everybody, but it's specifically affecting red states. Trump voters. Remember who Trump penalizes to try to get Democrats to move? He penalizes Democratic states. He's taking funding from New York City. He's taking funding from California. That's what he's fucking doing. But y'all talking about that. Now, let the red state fucking eat bread. Or eat the corn that they cannot sell, or the soybeans they cannot no longer sell to China. Let them eat that for a change. Because they thought they were fucking around, and guess what? Penalizing black people. Because them fuckers are literally making AI videos to show that, say that black people are fake. Snapping cuts. Shut the fuck up. And the point here being is that they're making AI videos to show that black women are screaming out their SNAP benefits are being cut. Because they know it's not true. They're trying to paint a particular narrative. We know who's suffering now. If you listen to people at the food banks tell you who's showing up, especially in red states, they're saying it's majority white people showing up to get foods, to get the canned goods. So the point here being is that y'all don't want to compromise, but you want Democrats to just roll over. Make that make sense.
If Republicans won the Senate, if the Republicans won the House, if Republicans won every single
One guy got Joe. He's been trying to go for a while.
if Republicans won the popular vote, electoral college, the Senate, the presidency, and the fucking House, why would Democrats not be the ones who need to compromise? The American people voted in the Republicans, so they obviously want what Republicans are selling. If anything, ML, Democrats are the ones who need to fucking open up their fucking brains and think for a second. Maybe we need to compromise because the American people voted in Republicans, so we should be compromising with what Republicans want. That's not how this works. Democrats can't lose, and the American people can't vote in Republicans, and the Republicans are like, okay, we have to do what Democrats want. That is completely against what the American people want. So what you're saying makes no sense. And again, there's been 15 votes on.
So 100% of Americans voted for Republicans. Okay.
No, because he want us all to live in a white America. It's a majority white.
Don't say it because you interrupted me.
Hey, who said shut up, Patty? Are y'all okay? Who the fuck said that?
So again, there's been 15 votes to fund SNAP.
Better calm down.
Every time to not fund it. But they're
Wait, Al, you said shut up, Patty? Shut your ass up in the goo. You done lost your fucking mind.
So again, 15 votes to fund SNAP. Every single time, Democrats have voted to not fund SNAP.
You're
Yet they
repeating
know that there's
yourself.
low IQ
Can
voter
we
base.
get something new from
Yes, low IQ voter base. You want to put up a stat to back that up?
We have to emphasize how dumb you people are to blame this on Republicans when Democrats have voted 15 times to not fund these these programs. But
Well, apparently, majority of Americans, 50-something% of Americans are actually blaming Republicans. So, I guess majority of the country is fucking brain dead, like you said.
obviously, because you can
People
look at the
guys used to think that Trump was going to lose the election. Let's keep on
We
focusing.
can't keep
Not the same
you know,
vote,
can't
but
take into consideration white male cultural.
Patty's brain and she talks about white men.
Yeah, I'm Brenda.
and you're white.
Yeah, we're talking about votes in the Senate that have
No,
to
we're
pay
talking
the
about
government,
votes.
and you're talking about white people because you have fucking brain.
Because that's what it is. It's a bunch of people that's upset, white folks, mostly white males, pissed off at America because black folks ain't getting hosed at and we're getting jobs. Because we're reading and it's just not a fucking Bible that twice. We're entering it.
But you can't read who voted to not fund the government. Apparently you can't read that.
See? That's what upsets you. That's what upsets you.
You're not stupid. That's what is upsetting. Stupid. That's what's upsetting. Is that stupid people live in the country and they don't know who's to blame for the government shutdown. That's what's upsetting.
Stupid black people. That's what stupid black people.
It's upsetting that you're all stupid idiots. That's the problem.
Why are you in here then? It's upsetting me and my homegirls. I'm sorry.
Somebody here has to make sense. We can't just let all stupid people talk. Like,
Right. Go ahead, white man. Make it make sense for us minorities.
Wait, who the fuck is we? Who the fuck is we? We're just letting. Are y'all okay?
You keep repeating
He said we just letting. You know those Hispanics that are white that want to be white and they fat.
Anybody who has a brain that is a brain that Democrat.
Yes, you got a brain out there, Joel. So shut the hell up there. You got a brain. We're just telling you to shut up.
My lifetime should be in right here. And my lifetime tells me that if these Republicans are in under Trump and the economy is just shattered to pieces, you go and hold
Gas is down, inflation is down, interest rates are down.
Apple, a Granny Smith apple. A delicious golden red apple. So I'm just saying, he's a horrible manager. But it's bureaucrats and the aristocrats, the elitists. Those are only the policies of a Trump guy. It's for the rich and famous. Nothing for the middle of the road guy, say persons like myself, or the poor guys, the trailer trash and the people that get them suffer because these prices for even the cheap food that Robert President Kennedy won't even approve of the amount of sodium glutamate in the food and the rainbow flavor. All the things they can afford to buy is rainbow flavor, monosodium glutamate, and a full amount of glyceride. In other words, they're pricing people out of the economy and they can't even get a decent meal if they go to their favorite grocery store. So this guy's out of his mind. He has no policy that applies to the middle of the road. Even the middle class is complaining. And the money on the road out the red talk about
He's not done yet. He's not done.
I can't say two syllables at the
Anthony, please, hush.
Just getting all your jaws in a bunch, your tongue is all tied. Hey, let a brother speak now. I'm blaming Donald Trump and the make America great to what period of time specifically the fuck you talking about?
Jim Crow.
Red. When was it great when all the people prospered?
Jim
All the people doing good. There's no Jim Crow. That is the reincarnation of Andrew Johnson is Donald Trump. Donald Trump is the political prototype of Andrew Johnson. Meaning he got impeached several times. Meaning that every policy that will help the common person, he's against it. Everything that help black people, he's against it. And he'll use all of his political power and force, all of his inertia to stop anything from coming to the middle of the road guy, the poor guy, and the black guy, the Hispanic guy. He told him this. Geraldo Rivera was a staunch Republican type of journalist, Fox News journalist. He came out against Trump at the very last day of the election. And a woman came, she said, I'm voting a Hispanic lady, Puerto Rican lady, say she's going to vote Trump. So now you got it. Now what you going to do with it? I land my plane on the fact that Trump has no sensitivity whatsoever for the ordinary person. And say, my.
I just want to provide Anthony, just about 1 second. Y'all coming on Clubhouse with this entitlement is just fooling me, right? Like, nobody gives a shit. Just shut the fuck up. So I could not remember why, because Biden passed so much legislation, and it feels like it's a lifetime ago since Biden was elected. I cannot remember why the ACA subsidies were not permanently extended. And for that, we have to thank Mr. Joe Crackhead Manchin, because if I recall properly, during the Inflation Reduction Acts, and I just wanted to go back and provide some context, right? It was his funky ass that said it would be too expensive to permanently extend the subsidies, which is why the Democrats basically in the American Rescue Plan basically just provided this temporary extension from 2022 to 2025. So if we want to go back and blame somebody, right, it's him. And then we also know that the Republicans fought tooth and nail for all of the great legislation that Biden actually put into play, right? He had some pretty major pieces of legislation passed when he was in office. Because I was like, for the life of me, that was bothering me. Like, why wasn't it permanent? Why wasn't it permanent? So the fact that Republicans did know that, this was going to come up for discussion, it should have been addressed in the one big beautiful bill, one way or the other decisively, in my opinion. If you were not going to extend the subsidies, then you needed to have some sort of repeal, replace for the ACA. Just going to keep saying it. Donald Trump has been talking about this since 2016. You cannot repeal the subsidies, right, and expect the ACA to stand, because that is part and parcel of how the damn insurance works. The way that it was presented to the American people is that insurance is expensive, right, because we have the lobbyists, because capitalism, we want to, when you go get a damn pill at the hospital, they're going to charge you $75 when you can go get one at the corner store for $2.22. That's the structure that we have in this country. So the subsidies were basically put in place to make it quasi-affordable, because it's still expensive. But the alternative is not having any kind of coverage at all, which we know can absolutely lead to negative outcomes for individuals. President Biden actually tried to fix that by removing medical debt from your credit report for at least the first 5 years, to where it would still be reported, but it wouldn't count towards your credit score. Well, Trump and his billionaires decided, no, screw that. We're going to put that shit right back on your credit report. No MAGA has been able to properly explain why, by the way. Because just because somebody runs into an issue where they don't have coverage, or they have to have a surgery and they can't afford the deductible or whatever, and that does not mean that they're not credit worthy. They could be a perfectly a person who has an otherwise great credit score, who pays all their bills, who has sufficient income, and then they run into a problem and they happen to not have $10,000. So now we're going to destroy that person's credit and everything that goes along with it. Yeah, that was Donald Trump who decided that this year, by the way. And he did it early on when he was in office, because it was such a big deal, such a pressing matter for him to reverse what Biden had put in place. But no MAGA has properly addressed that yet, by the way. Not even you, Joel. Right? Do you want me to say it in Spanish for you to understand why you're talking about us being bootlickers?
You're a bootlicker on a plantation.
Right.
That's what you're thinking about.
You're calling us a bootlicker, but you got the boot firmly up your ass. So I'd rather lick
You can't even go outside, Nikki.
Yeah.
You can't even go outside because
But anyway, that's just what I wanted to say, Patty, because none of them can answer that, Anthony. Like, since we're talking about this, since we're talking about insurance and subsidies, do you want to know what happens for the people that can't afford those premiums if the Democrats capitulated? Because y'all are following the narrative. You're talking about EBT. Trump can allow for EBT to be funded, just like he did during the first shutdown, right? Y'all act like everything is brand new with this man, and that's actually what drives me crazy. You fake ass Republicans, you're supposed to be the constitutionalists in this. What happened?
Well, Mickey, just 1 second, Alan. I defer to Mickey. Just give me 1 second, brother. So Mickey, this is like the third time I've heard you ask this question in less than 20 seconds.
Yeah, because y'all still haven't responded yet.
Okay. Mickey, I haven't even been around, so I'm happy to respond to it. As far as the federal government telling, Equifax, Experian, TransUnion,
what to include in their credit models, I don't think that's the federal government's place either way. There are multiple models, and the federal government needs to keep its nose out of it. If they want to include medical debt, then so be it. And if we're being honest, if you know what's going on in business and what's going on as it relates to credit, you'll realize that the credit models themselves are starting to become archaic. They're starting to go away. The banks are depending on them less and less, and the metric they're using is the deposits and outflows of cash from your bank account. That's becoming more looked at than the credit model. So this is such a I don't even understand why we waste energy on this kind of stuff. The federal government needs to step out of the way. I don't want them to say yay. I don't want them to say nay. I want them to mind their business. Now, back to the issue at hand. All right. I understand that you guys are going to point to some polls and say, oh, they're more so blaming the Republicans. All right. Cool. I disagree with those polls. I disagree with the polls that said Donald Trump would lose the election. You guys really, it just scratches, it makes me scratch my head and wonder, how did you...
So you know what?
I'm talking conceptually.
When it came to voting for Donald Trump is people's embarrassment. Some article where people not being honest about, so obviously they know that whatever Donald Trump is doing isn't fucking favorable for a lot of other communities. But there was some article I was reading, I'm gonna look for it, and they were talking about the polling when it came to the presidency. How people don't want to be viewed because they were a Donald Trump voter. So yeah, as far as those polls when it comes to other things, I don't know. I get it. Polls don't look good because of what's been happening with last two presidencies, the last couple of presidencies. But
Ambassador's on the phone. I just wanted to respond to him. In the big
I just defer to me. All right, I'll go after you.
According to House bill that Democrats didn't want to vote for, it lowers the tax rate by 21% of the lowest income earners. It gives tax breaks to people. I think it's up to 70. I just looked it up.
Well, put your link in the chat. It does not lower the tax rate by 21%.
Yeah, me too. I assume everything you say is true.
I told you to put a link in the chat.
Then we will.
You can't come up on the stage, just put it. You know how this works, Alan.
Yeah, so do you.
As old and fucked up brain in your mind is, you know how this works. Put a link in the chat.
The freedoms you have are because of people like me.
Get the fuck out of here, bitch.
For them. Yeah.
You already got it.
So in any event, I will share a beautiful bill.
Put a link in the chat.
I will when I'm done speaking. Thank you.
You said that you fought for freedom.
Yeah. So in any event,
how do you do that?
Yes, I will address that afterwards, Emma.
Okay, please go.
Yeah, so it not only does it cut taxes for people making under $100,000 a year, but it also raises taxes on the top 1% and the top 5% of income earners. So yes, all of the Bernie screaming that Trump actually did it.
It's not accurate.
Yeah, it's accurate. Thank you very much.
Only Trump taxed the rich.
So that's the first part. The second part, I looked it up now, and I could be wrong. But
like you were wrong
about but the fact is that what they are voting, the extensions of the ACA, those were brought in temporarily during the pandemic. Now, I think we all understand what the word temporary
We all know
means.
that.
It means it wasn't supposed to last forever, and Democrats are
The
fighting
Viagra
for it to last forever.
Right, so they didn't last forever because they got rid of that public option in the beginning, right?
Yeah.
The
So,
public option would have kept us from meeting these subsidies, correct?
yeah,
And they got rid of what they called the death panel, right? Which would have been the ones that ended up.
yeah, I'm not speaking about that. I'm
So,
speaking
but that's
about
the
the
reason
fact
why they had.
these Democrats are misrepresenting what this is. The extension of the ADA benefits that were provided during the pandemic must end. And Democrats are making
That is a lie. That is a lie.
Yeah,
The
they
AC
must end.
subsidies were passed when the AC was passed. It was extended during COVID. It's not
Yes,
a new
the
COVID
permanently
subsidy.
extending the expanded Affordable Care Act premium tax credits would have cost an estimated $350 billion. The subsidies in question were, I'm reading from Google now, were temporarily enhanced by the American Rescue Plan in 2021 and extended by the Inflation Reduction.
I literally just said that, Papa. You didn't hear me say that? So,
You know
Alan,
he's suffering from dementia.
why don't you Google this? How much did Trump's corporate tax cost the cost in totality? You know, national tax cuts that he gave to corporation with the one big beautiful bill. Do you know that number?
I don't know the exact number, but I do know.
You do know or you don't know? Why don't you put that
I
in
do
Google?
know.
Ask Siri.
Okay, I will, but I
No,
do
well,
know
why don't you do that and get back to us?
corporations 20% or 40%. It's the taxpayers who pay those taxes, not corporations.
So you're right. So then why should we give corporations?
Taxes on corporations?
Are you serious?
Getting rid of the subsidies raises taxes on people, but
They're not subsidies to corporations, they're subsidies to us. Now, tax
not
economists.
to us. It only goes to people.
Yeah,
Do you know who gets the subsidies, Alan?
Yeah.
Alan, do you know who gets the
I
subsidies?
am called away by real.
Alan, do you know who? Alan, do you know who gets subsidies? You haven't made
We all
just like. So, Alan, the thing about without the subsidies, you're talking about the affordability of the ACA. That many people, who doesn't get job-based coverage will not be able to afford it out. Hold on, Lord, why are you interrupting me? Lord, why he left? Lord, why are you interrupting me? So, the point here is that
While we were speaking,
fuck, Lord, I'm a mod. That's why I'm gonna move you to the audience because you don't have to shut the fuck up. So there you go. So without help, many people who don't get job-based coverage cannot afford the premiums because it's capped at people who make less than $67,000 a year. Basically, the subsidies are also capped on what you pay as a share of your income. And all it does is reduce your out-of-pocket expenses. Because the fact is that those red states did not accept Medicaid extensions. So therefore they said, hey, we're gonna meet you guys halfway. You guys get subsidies to offset the cost of insurance. And now you guys are complaining. Man, I don't know. I think you guys are all paid. Because to continually go down the river of denial, to be in denial, it's wild.
Not everybody is a paid actor, okay? These people really, I don't understand, like, when you listen to their research and what they come back with, why you can't believe that they believe that stuff? Just because you don't believe it.
Exactly.
This is my question about them believing what they believe, right? Are they only looking for that as information? Are they not trying to, why aren't they, this is where it's a problem. Like, do they really know how to do research? Like, you can look for information. They're looking for the information that isn't even making sense. Like, the shit that they fucking bring up on the stage, or even some of the articles that they try to present, be kicking them in their own ass. Like they want this to be their truth. They want this to be the truth.
What's the number one thing that causes most countries to fall into chaos? Isn't it food and not being able to
Food insecurity and water.
We don't realize that in order to suspend civil government and be able to put power in one person's hand to be able to do whatever they want to do, we are on the brink of that. I guarantee you that there's planning that's already taken place, that he's already got in place for when the uprisings take place, because people cannot have food and water. His plan has already taken place. This is right. This is what he hoped for would take place.
But another issue that people are not bringing up, which is very important that we understand that it's a prevention of adverse selection, and I'm saying that to say that lowering the price by paying us subsidies pulls more healthy people into the insurance, into the risk pool, meaning that which helps keep the premiums from spiraling up for everyone. Because a lot of people who make less than $6,000 or $7,000, a lot of them are younger. They're younger, they're healthier, so we want those people in the pool. And so evidence will continue to show that dropping subsidies would slash enrollment, and because of a smaller pool, that would push premiums up even further, and that's what people are missing. And I don't see how you guys don't get that your insurance is going to grow up, because the people who get the subsidies, people who make less than $600,000 and doesn't get their job-based insurance.
But I think the conversation has moved past that now, because I think a lot of them are open to that. The problem now is, why don't you guys just go ahead and put your cards in and open it back up so we can get this done? That's where the argument now is. That's what's going on in their minds. Hence why they continuously are trying to find a way to put it back on the Democrats. That's the argument. But I guess the counter bet would be, if I trusted you before and you showed me nothing, how can I trust you now? That is the argument. Now it sits back in your plate. Because it has been time to have these conversations, and you're still not even willing to do it. You're still saying, give me more, bow down. Versus just having the conversation, instead of playing games, talking about, they want it for the illegals, The illegals are getting your insurance, they're paying for your insurance. So now we're really talking about subsidies, right? It's a whole different story. So, I don't know.
But you gotta want to go to the table and negotiate with good faith. He doesn't want to go to the table and negotiate with good faith. He figures he wins either way. If this country goes into chaos, he wins. If they cripple the Democrats and they give in, he wins. He's trying to win at all costs. So he figured, I'm in a win-win situation. If they don't vote it in and people can't eat and can't find food and total mayhem comes into the country and I send troops into these cities and I declare martial law, I win. He doesn't care about people. He just cares about winning in his own mind. We don't believe. I don't think we believe that he will declare martial law. I think that we really don't believe he'll do it.
To Brent S. down there, I'm sending it now, baby. I don't need to wait until November 1st. Okay, love? The Democrats, we should, as Republicans, say we want the government open and not be held up. We'll see. Anybody push back?
I'm sorry, First Lady, what did you say? I was reading Brandon's chat.
It says, we should, as Republicans, say we want the government open and not to be held up.
We do want it open. That was dumb.
But why can't they just say what it is? Even Marjorie Taylor, oh my goodness, I did not get that. Somebody got Marjorie Taylor's tweet. Somebody give me Marjorie Taylor's tweet. OMG, she really did a great job. Somebody find Marjorie for me, please. Somebody got Marjorie Taylor's tweet. No. Trying to see if I can find it. Because Marcus, listen, I've tried to speak with the speaker, find out what plans, what's the thing, and I've been told a concept. She says it. Your own Republican, when y'all gonna wake up? What's going on? I'm telling you, y'all need to go read it because I'm in agreement. I want the government open now. I don't want to see people without food. I don't want to see people without having pay. None of the above. Right? So let's get the government open. I thought they was gonna make a deal back in October. For whatever reason, there was no deal because it was still, again, you talking about it's for the illegals. And now once we get to a week or two right before, and we start talking about the subsidies and how the subsidies, now people starting to listen. And instead of saying, okay, let's go ahead and finish this out, meaning make the deal because we had already started it this way, you want the people to say, okay, I put down my cards, I'll fold, and we're going to open it up and trust that you're going to do something different. I don't know. Help me understand.
He better hope the military don't get fed up with his foolishness and he finds Chase outside of the White House and say his time is over.
I need that tweet. Where's Marjorie? April, you was gonna say something, babe?
No, I was just asking. I'm sorry, I lost the thread. Sorry.
No, you said you was paying attention to what that boy was writing.
Yeah, paying attention to foolishness, but the 21st of November will follow close behind the 1st of November, and isn't that when further questions about the subsidies occur? Isn't that when the decision has to be made for real? I don't know. I'm asking the question because the 21st, even if they open now on the 21st, if they open now the way the Republicans want it on the 21st of November, we would be back here at this point of contention again. So, as someone who's affected by the shutdown, and I say that affected, my husband's not getting paid, but we'll be all right. It'd be nice if they opened, but at this point, I don't see it happening.
Because you were with me. You said in the beginning of in the middle of October. We both were on the same thing, right?
I think so. But certain things that Mike Johnson did told me that the one thing in particular he said that when the budget is passed, then I'll open up the House again. I'll have the Republicans back in there. How can it open again? He's basically saying, Democrats, give me what I want, or I'll keep it shut down. But you can't tell people that. And Trump continues to do what he wants while the government's shut down. We don't have Congress actively, the senators are there, but we don't have the House actively working to try to fix this. So Mike Johnson to me is ineffectual. He never knows anything. He bows to Trump. We can never expect him to get anything moving in the House. So as we got further into this, I'm like, okay, we can tighten our belts. We'll be okay. There's so many more millions of people who won't. But it also breaks the government further, right? This gives them there's many ways the Republicans have used to break the federal government, to break the agencies, to get rid and to shed off federal employees, to do everything they possibly can. And the remaining federal employees are living their lives day to day, hoping and praying that their job is still working, right? Their job is still there for them. And Brad, I am from Appalachia. I don't know what bearing that has on this conversation, but in any case, it's what you white people magas coming here from the white people house and try to act like I care what you think. But if this continues, and the further it goes, the more the public is saying, hey, this is the Republicans. They own the government. They have to govern. This is a problem every time I speak to a MAGA or a Republican. You have the onus is on you to govern. You did not win the mandate. No, 100% of voters didn't vote for you. You're there for bipartisan lawmaking. And when you don't want to do that, if you're the ones in power, right? If I'm in power and I need the other people to come over, some of them, and say, hey, yeah, that makes sense. I need to work for that. You don't just get that handed. You don't get to just shut people down, right? Because they have constituents too who will be affected by this. So if you are unable to govern and you blame the other side, I don't know what's wrong with you. I don't understand what it is that you don't get about governing. But as I say, Republicans don't govern. It's not something that they're used to doing. They're used to just small government, we're not going to do this, we're not going to do that. And they get in power and they leave a mess behind for the next president, and Lord help us, 2 Republicans in a row, to fix. It's historic. It's on the books. We know Republicans have had so many years, 10 years, decades, to come up with something. And nobody in this room can sit here and tell me that rising costs of insurance, co-pays, all these things are not a problem for the American people. Nobody can sit here and say that. So when insurance companies are saying, hey, yes, if you guys don't do something to fix this, there's people whose monthly insurance costs are going to go up to $4,000. And they were just barely paying $800. That means you've broken the system and you have nothing to replace it with. You have nothing to make healthcare affordable or to make access to have healthcare. You've not done it. You wanted to kill the ACA here, and you haven't been able to. And here's your chance. And that's what they're doing. That's why they're doing what they're doing. It's to kill the ACA. It's not to help the American people.
Yeah. April, I was reading an article last night. They said the last time the Republican pushed a healthcare plan through, they had not the concept of a plan, not framework of a plan, just a plan. It was during the Clinton administration. And you know who killed it? Republicans killed their own healthcare plan. When Clinton was trying to push one through, he goes, "Oh, yeah, ours is better." And then they let theirs go through, and they themselves killed it. Mitch McConnell led that. That's who we're dealing with there. That's how many years ago when Clinton was in power?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
I was reading today, and a lot of people are talking about just letting their health insurance go if it gets up that high. Healthy Americans, they're just like, we'll just let it go. But that's going to increase the cost for everybody else who has to buy insurance. Because if a large amount of people opt out, then it falls on everybody else.
Adverse selection.
But there's the danger in that, because somebody such as myself that when you own your own home, one major medical event when you're not covered can put everything that you have ever worked for in jeopardy. Because when you can't pay for that heart attack, when you can't pay for that car accident, after a while they put a lien on your property and you will be ever put in a position where you'll be in such a hole that you may not never recover from when you take the chance on dropping your medical insurance.
They can't afford it.
And then people don't realize that
and they can't afford it, what else are they gonna do? They're not giving them a choice.
They're gonna jump, but I'm just saying.
They're not gonna give them a choice. So what else can they do?
Because they gotta buy food, they gotta feed themselves.
Right. If they're healthy, I'm not saying get rid of your car insurance or your homeowner's insurance, but just eat right, exercise, live life.
But it's the same thing.
Well, I know. I understand where you're coming from, and I'm gonna tell you this. That's what we need to let people know, because people are not, they don't understand. They think that only poor people get these, and there is a thing it affects them, and that's where they're sadly mistaken because of adverse selection. And people, healthy people, will more likely skip insurance than people who are actually 60 or older. And that diminishes the size of the pool. So the premium goes up for everybody.
Correct. And then when you live in a state like I do in Florida, where our homeowners insurance has doubled, so you're looking at going from $6,000 a year to $12,000 a year, along with the and medical insurance going up. You wonder, what are you doing? You get to a point where you have to ask yourself, which one am I willing to do without? Or do I do without both of them? I can't even tell you how many of my friends and ex-coworkers are living without homeowners insurance because they cannot afford the $10,000 to $20,000 a year for homeowners insurance.
Orlando, freedom isn't free. Freedom is like, sell the house. If you can't afford the house, freedom is not free. All right, this is so. If you can't afford the house, if you cannot afford the house, if the premiums, the insurance premiums have gone up too much, then you have to sell the house. If the taxes go up,
Do you know why insurance?
if the property taxes go up too much, you have to sell the house. If you retire and you don't receive the same, if you retire and you're not receiving the same income,
just to be free, this is the answer. This is
Okay,
the answer I give you. It's like, fuck you.
if you retire, listen, man, I hardly have been speaking. All I'm saying, if you retire, and you lose the amount of, if you retire and you lose the amount of income that you had previous to retire, and you can no longer afford your home, you have to make different choices.
Anthony, have you heard his
We
story?
can't solve everybody's problems.
Have you heard his story? You are really uncomfortable, Anthony. Have you heard Orlando's story? Let me back this train up. Let me back this train up. Anthony, I served 4 years in the United States military for freedom. At the end of those 4 years, I became a deputy sheriff in Miami-Dade for freedom. I served 25 years faithfully for freedom. I lost my sight. I bought my home cash, which is the American dream, freedom. And because of that, now, because of the high rate of insurance at $4,000 a month, at the high rate of homeowners insurance at $12,000 a month, your freaking answer to freedom is I need to sell my home that I worked all of my life to purchase for my family is to sell it. You sound like a freaking idiot.
He's an idiot. Orlando always sound like an idiot because I say to you that if you can't afford your home, that you need to sell it. It makes me an idiot. Because I understand the laws of gravity. Because I can't talk at the same time as you. Okay, go ahead, man. I'll talk after you.
You're a fucking idiot. You haven't even heard his story, his background. All you want to do is wake up and phone. Oh, sell your fucking house. Think I'm a fucking idiot. Fucking idiot.
Now that we've gotten that out of the way. Now that we've gotten that out of the way, right? I'm saying, right? We have to deal with reality. It's about choices.
The reality is.
I stopped talking when people started talking. I did not interrupt anybody. Orlando, I'm happy to stop and pass your mic. Orlando, let me land. Orlando, let me land. Orlando, let me land. No, Orlando, let me land. Okay, Orlando, let me land. Let me land. Okay, all right. Orlando. So, Orlando, right? Orlando, here's what's up, right? Orlando, you feel like you did something noble, and I don't disagree with you. You fought for the country, right? Yeah, Orlando, Orlando, let me finish, man, please, brother. Let's not get emotional. Let's just talk. So, Orlando, you could potentially, right? You could potentially take and set up a GoFundMe. You have a sympathetic story, and maybe you can garner enough attention that people would contribute to your GoFundMe. You can have a compelling story. I'd contribute to your GoFundMe. I would be happy to try to help you because I respect your service. I respect the years you served as a police officer. I respect that stuff, and you have a compelling story. But Orlando, what I'm saying to you, if you choose not to do that, that's up to you. I'm going to fight with everything I have to make the choices that I make. If I cannot sustain the life that I have to make different choices. This is not a controversial topic. It's not about being right. It's about dealing with reality. I'm not, if the insurance companies say, we're going to double your premiums, what happens if it goes from 4 to 8? And then, there's a whole bunch of, stuff that happens, and now it's going from 8 to 16,000. At a certain point, you're going to have to say, you know what? I capitulate. I am not going to pay this absorbent amount of money. This is reality.
But Anthony,
we have to deal with gravity.
The problem with that is that's not politically popular. Like, you're not, like, housing is viewed as a public good, right? That's the reason why the government regulates mortgage rates. That's the reason why the government regulates insurance companies. Like, what you're advocating for is just pure unfettered capitalism, which is just not a popular concept. I mean, even irrespective of what, like, whether or not you make sense or not, like no one left or right is going to agree with you on that point, right? And so, like,
plenty of people that agree with me, mister. I think the majority of people agree with me.
No, absolutely not. What you offered is, let's say that in the interest of a bank or an insurance company, they want to double mortgage rates, they want to triple insurance rates, they want to basically take advantage of the broader population, and that's just not. I mean, yeah, sure. If you own those companies, if you have economic interest in that, which a very small percentage of people do, then sure, that's fine. But if you don't, which is the public, right? Then like that's adverse to the interest of the public.
So you understand how they argue, right? If they raise the rates too high, mister, what ends up happening, another company is going to come in to fill the void with